Blessed love and peace. All thanks and praise. We got 22 gigs. The battery is on tilt. Ooh, we rich. We rich today. Oh, D. All thanks and praise. Experiencing the positive energy of Juma. Thankfulness. Reminder, the nature of prayer and meditation, salat, samadhi, davening, and such. Here's a way of looking at it. It is mining. You know that mining that causes that pollution and everything? This is a type of mining, no pollution, but serious energy. It is mining of the heavens, mining within the heavens. Traveling literally traveling into the heavens and mining. And the treasures that are received from that mining, it's positive energy, it's healing, it's vibration. You can feel it when you're listening. You feel the energy, you feel the healing. That's facts. Meditation, prayer, it is mining within the heaven, bringing it back. And when you bring it back, when we bring it back, then we have it. We have it to share. We don't have control over it, but we have some say of how we share it, how we distribute it. And that's what it is. When we say peace and blessings to kinfolk, we are sharing it. Sometimes kinfolk can feel it right there, right where they ache, and literally their joints, the arteries, the forehead, the temples, indeed. Give thanks and praise. That is the nature of prayer and meditation. As I sit between Juma and Shabbat, literally, multifacetedly, precipitously, regularly, for centuries, going on millennia, all that. Such is the nature. So that's mining, that's heavenly mining, and that's real. That's realer than real. And you can study that. The science can study that. But that's facts. Mining within the heavens. That's the power of prayer. You can literally you can feel it. When you get in that tingle, that's some of it. It don't just come from no place. And then again, kind of, sort of. And there's ancient knowledge about how to do that mining. Now the thing about it is that some of that, it's not all the same. Some of it is universal. We can look at it like as gold. We can look at it as silver or platinum or whatever. Is recognized around the world as such. But then some type of that mining has different type of like precious stones, whether it's rubies or diamonds or whatever else. And some collectives have certain appreciation for certain types of gems and treasures, and additionally, but it's way further valuable than those gems that we just mentioned. And it's beneficial to recognize that nature is universal and transcends the divisions and the temporal biases, because vibration is vibration. Alright, that's the beginning. Now we're going to get into that being said, now we get into the main purpose of this joint, or what we presume to be the main purpose, what we profess to be the main purpose. To be honest, that could be the main purpose right there, just to share that, because that's important. And there it is, less than 5 minutes. What's up? Now, this is a heavy, and I'm mindful of doing it at this moment in this positive vibration, because this is tedious, this is nasty, this is gritty. But at the same time, the purpose of it is healing, and so that's why we share it. And maybe because of that, amidst this positive energy, just doing the mining, and the nature of this joint, maybe it'll be comparatively brief, on point, and focus. God willing, inshallah, B'ezrat Hashem. Here we go. Here it is, changing the mood. We changing the mood right now. We changing the mood. Preparation. Preparation. Changing the mood. What this topic is the pimp game of universities. The university's pimp game. And it's important, it's beneficial to recognize like what the details are here, what we sharing here. With all things to praise the Most High, and with the purpose of healing, to be just actual about what the conditions are, without condemning, but just to be actual about it, and for the purpose of healing. So, not making any specific accusations. We're speaking from personal experience. We're speaking from observation and anecdotal testimonies. We're speaking from deductive and inductive reasoning. We're speaking from general circumstances. We can talk about circumstantial evidence and otherwise. We're talking from an awareness of hiding and just the nature of criminality and otherwise, or just deviant behavior. So, point for all that is that disclaimer is to say we abstain from making any specific accusations against any specific university or any specific individual or otherwise. We're speaking concerning a general phenomena that all specific kinfolk are in, and we're speaking in a general purpose so that people can have an idea of. We're giving an outline. We're drawing a. I don't want to say a sketch, because that has a double meaning and other lends itself to types of whatever. But that's essentially what we're doing. We're sketching an outline. We're sketching an illustration of the conditions, the circumstances, so that people can be further mindful of what's happening and then make decisions accordingly. And again, for the purpose of healing. That's what this is for. It's not to condemn people. It's not to put down people. It's not to vilify people or gain leverage in negotiations or anything like that. It's strictly and legitimately and thoroughly. Shalom Aleichem. It's strictly and thoroughly, that wasn't tefillin, that was a cast. It's strictly and thoroughly, the brethren did not look at all back. I said that also because Hillel's foundation is right here, but he did not have a kippah that I could see afterwards. It was a very unusual cast that was shaped in the way of tefillin, but anyways, that's okay. What somebody would be walking with tefillin on, I'm certain, but this would be the environment of doing it. So that might have been an overcompensation of my comparative discomfort at this moment of doing this joint right literally on the border of the battlefields. Anyways, literally. All right, now again, we're going again to the pimp game. Here we go. I'm just going to endeavor, God willing, just to articulate this, just to be as matter of fact as possible. And again, without specifically, I want to say accusing, but it's not, it's not indemnifying, it's not condemning. Well, I think I've said there. If I can think of a better way of articulating the disclaimer, just saying we're not making any formal accusations to any specific institution or individual. So just put that in there. We're describing general conditions, and many and even all individuals are part of it and are involved. And we don't say it's not any particular individual is not doing it either. Whenever we accuse somebody specifically and directly for any specific violation, we have to be very responsible, and particularly because the consequence from our tradition, where we come from, is that whenever we make an accusation of somebody and it's proven otherwise, or that person doesn't do that, hasn't done that, then we ourselves receive the punishment that would have been applied to that person had that person been found guilty. We're not doing this for any earthly court of law. We're doing this for educational purposes. So all those disclaimers said is best articulated in benevolent faith for the well-being of all beings. Here's the description of the university pimp game in the middle of the campus. Here we go. And I ain't trying to be bold. I ain't trying to be. This is just where we are at the moment, and we're sharing at the moment because this is how it's shared with us. and it's for the purpose of healing. Can I say it again? Here we go. In this game, this PIM game of the universities, there are two focal categories of participants. One is uh, legacy sons, and the other is virgin women. So the legacy sons are sons of men, parents who are established in society, whether it's specifically within universities or specific institutions, but they're in the hierarchies. Like they're the high rollers or whatever. They kingpins, queenpins, or whatever. So the sons of those is one primary participant in the pimp game of the universities. The second is virgin women, women who are cultivated and groomed to be the wives of the sons, the legacy sons. So that's the primary thing. And so the university campi, or the campuses, all the universities in addition, all academia around the world, it is the republic, the Imperial Republic courtyards. This is where the matchmaking happens, the primary theater where the matchmaking happens. Academia, the Ivory Towers, is the Imperial Republic courtyards, to facilitate the pairing, and then all the different matches of all the different participants, because those who are not the virgin women and those who are not the legacy sons are essentially the workhorses, trying to get into that position, if not in this generation, vying and jockeying for the next generation or future generations. So there's a wide spectrum, but that's the basic way. So the campuses around the world of universities today is the Imperial Republic courtyards. That where the theater, where it goes down, the university pimp game goes down. So the way it works basically is at the moment what we identify as three primary leaderships, three primary categories of leaderships that basically facilitate the game itself. So the leaderships are the fathers of the legacies, and the other general category is the admissions office and administration, and then the other category is professors. And obviously there's a range of how much anyone in each of these categories is influential in that process, but the basic gist of it is that the Sons of Legacy are the primary thing, and so the basic modus, or the basic agenda, the basic purpose is to find matches for the legacy sons. And the thing about it is that even though like there's just this paved road for the legacy sons, it's not necessarily a guarantee, because the legacy sons are sons of prominent, influential kinfolk, men particularly, and so get a lot of favors and additionally, but at the same time, the legacy sons have to vie with each other. And not all legacy sons are created equal. Some begin with a greater advantage. Some start to make a name for themselves, particularly by that age, as being a teenager. And additionally, they have to go through competitions. The competitions vary, particularly at that stage of elitism. But then so before we get into like the workhorses, we're just focusing on the like the primary level at the moment. But there's competitions, and so all of those competitions basically determine who has first dibs on the virgin women, who are like by the time 15-16-year-old, tutored and groomed, and additionally to be the epitome mates of the legacy sons. And so that's how things manifest at that level. Now further, before getting into the level of the workhorses, concentration. something else before I get into the next part of this. The legacy sons have to compete with each other. Um, okay, I'm going to continue on. Might be a quasi that segues into the next part of this. So, um, it's no guarantee the legacy sons have to compete with each other. Uh, some legacy sons may be lazy, maybe lethargic or whatever. Some may be ambitious. Some may be trying to be like raise their game to the even the next level. And so there's a variety. Oh, all right. So there's that. Now, meanwhile, for the people who are lower than that, quote unquote, in the hierarchy, the conventional hierarchy, the world conventional hierarchy of the Imperial Republic, um, there are people who are trying to get to the highest levels, and the children who are trying to get into the highest levels. And so there's a tremendous variety, obviously, between the campuses, between the different universities, the different courtyards, which ones are further coveted than others, the different natures of different campuses, whether it's liberal arts, whether it's Ivy League, whether it's HBCU. Can that actually be counted? Yes. Whether it's a science, STEM-based one, whether it's a humanities-based, whatever, the culture, whether it's city, whether it's rural, whether it's small, whatever. I mean, all that factors into the mid-levels of the hierarchy, in students, young youth, families, parents deciding which courtyard to bring their children into. Many students, many youth, many women relinquish that virginity before getting into the university stage, so that the quality, or not the quality, but the value of the women at that stage becomes lessened by the time of getting university. But still, there's a huge population of the workhorses, and there's a huge spectrum of variance. That's the word we're looking for before, variance amongst the workhorses. So there are some workhorses who are on the verge of getting into the elite and might be a distant candidate as a marital prospect to one who's a son of legacy, or who's a daughter, in proximity or otherwise. So there's that continual vying for those who have that interest, and there's a significant field of variance. And because of that, amidst that, there's a lot of different motivations for upgrading and further. And even when people have expended themselves, particularly women have expended themselves, and particularly when men have not, if they've entered competitions at the high school level, regardless, whatever those competitions are, whether they're the elitist kind of cultish kind of competitions, whether it's how their fathers are doing in terms of the world theater, and how their stocks and portfolios and everything else are in military campaigns are progressing. That all those valuations determine the candidacy and the prominence of the legacy son at that level. Peace and blessing, Brian, of the courtyard. So all that factors into it, and then the workhorses try to get in where they fit in as optimally as possible. So then once there's the admission, so there's that variance, and but then the big thing is that formal invitation to the courtyard. Just like the getting invitation to the King's Court, it's not just an event, it's a series of events. It's admissions into university. So that's the big threshold, because once person's admitted into that threshold of the university, then and the arrangements are made, then it's a matter of how that person, whether it's a male or a woman, competes in that theater, and through navigates through the processes of valuation in that courting process. So now, in that process of being admitted into a university, though the three leaders that I mentioned before are the big deciding factors, the fathers, the legacies themselves, pulling strings or whatever else, and that's automatic. Listen to the admissions officers or whatever when they tell you automatic acceptance. The list of automatic acceptance. Don't even think about anything else. That's one category. The other category is the admissions office itself, and the administration and the political machinery and hierarchy within the administration of a university that determines what people get accepted, and then professors. Again, the hierarchy and the machinery amongst the professors. It's distinct from the administrations, but it's similar. Those are primary categories. We can talk about alumni, kind of, sort of, but that fits further into the realm of the legacies, and that's pretty much it. Now, the thing about that is that essentially, I mean, it's centered obviously in the admissions department and such. However, each of those leaderships have a strong say and a deciding factor who gets accepted, and each of those groups of leaderships has, and this is very nasty, but this is basically what it is, has first dibs on particularly the women. And oftentimes it's not for a man's self, it's not for the professor self, though it can be. It's not just for the administration self, most often not, because the administrations are too high stakes of a game to expend that type of civilizational, societal capital on just sex. That's not the motivation, generally speaking, for people who are in that stage or that experience of life. But they broker that first dibs to offer it to somebody else, whether it's another student, whether it's to a son of a legacy, whether it's through other purposes of seduction and entrapment or whatever else. But generally, admissions people don't do it themselves because there's too much to lose, and that's not the general motivation for people in that position. And then for the legacies themselves, the FARs, the legacies, first dibs meaning for their sons. And so when they look at the candidates, they look at high schoolers, they look at all the recruiters who are in touch with like who the prospects are from high school levels, the channels from the prominent high schools, the elite high schools, and this one, she's pretty, she did this, she got this, she got that, she comes from this parentage, like all of that's involved in the pimp game, in the arrangement. It's a very crass thing to refer to it as that, but when it's recognized, like how when you see the behavior in the courtyard, and just how the fornication is so pervasive from personal experience, and I'm testifying from personal experience, so there's that evidence. We can also look at the very strong circumstantial evidence as well, when dormitories are co-ed, when drinking is prevalent, when the actual policies of administration is mutual consent and proactive birth control. And additionally, is that not promiscuity? Is that not a pervasive culture of promiscuity, fornication? That's, I mean, we could call that circumstantial evidence, but part of the culture is just being very hidden and having as little tangible evidence as possible. And meanwhile, youth get used up in that process, both men and women. So that's the concern that we have in this process, myself included. And I thought I was a nice guy. I thought I was the corny one that wasn't doing anything. So anyways, that was a long time ago too. So that's what we're talking about, hee-haw. So once people get accepted, oh no, there's the first dibs. And the first dibs doesn't have to be just a quid pro quo of like initiation, but it is guiding those who are admitted into certain programs, into certain introductions, and additionally, it is a matter of meeting influential leadership at universities, and that influential leadership being very influential, and just making a suggestion to students, because students can be like in awe, like, wow, this person knows my name, and to like just a suggestion, like, you should talk to so and so. Of course, most definitely. There it is. So that's just, again, sketching the basics, the outline of how the game works, and some of the primary participants. And again, the workhorses, there are a different number of categories of workhorses. Some are like the show horses. Some are the ones that are reserved to be studded. And then there are those that are just like compete on the racetracks to see how much they can do. Compete against other institutions, compete within the university, and additionally through coursework and grade completion, through extracurricular activities and otherwise, but each one making a name for themselves, and in making a name for themselves, proclaiming their viability as a marital prospect. Challenges many brethren waste it, use up that candidacy and those credentials by just being promiscuous, by just like using up having relations with women and not taking care of the women, and then being depleted, their credibility eventually being depleted, and not seeing it until like the door is closed, graduation or expulsion or whatever else, and the game's over. Not welcome at the courtyard any further. Literally, that's the nature of the game. Um, so basically, generally speaking, the ones who are only welcome after being at the courtyard are the ones who pay a lot of money, and then it's only on special occasions. Generally speaking, um, myself included, but at the same time, myself somewhat of a very, very atypical exception to the general circumstances. Um, and it ain't easy, and it hasn't been without being assaulted and locked up either. So all that being said, and ain't no guarantee from this day further either. Um, that's some of the basics of it. And so where most people find themselves is in that workhorse situation of like trying to big up their prospects or whatever. And we talk about career or whatever else, but um, what the big motivating factor is relationship. And men look at it in terms of just like a buffet, and that's very crass, but that's the mindset. And it's very difficult to avoid that because that's how it's sold. And for women, it's still a matter of relationship and marriage, but at the same time, because men are so sold on the buffet mentality, women become further empowered because the men get used up, women get knowledge, and then from that knowledge, women get the job offers, and that's how the game works, and that's how the game is playing out at the moment. Um, and But what the women actually want is marriage and security and affection and attention and loyalty and family. So that's part of the purpose of sharing this, is for that healing, for that recognition, and for that guidance. One of the conversations that's had with a number of kinfolk today is recognizing that freshman year, where we're in the autumn, we're just like first month of school here on this campus, and as part of orientation process, generally speaking, at every university, there's either like a week of orientation, just a freshman alone, learning about the campus, learning what college life is like, this, that, and the other, getting advice about how to be in campus. So the consideration is, during that time, orientation week, having marriage counselors teach 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds what healthy relationship is, what a committed relationship is, what marriage itself is. Is that too young? 17, 18-year-olds to talk about marriage? Is 17, 18-year-olds talking about protected sex and mutual consent? Come on. Just like kinfolk have office and career placement office and internships and all these programs to prepare students to work in the workplace upon graduation, there's high recommendation for having marriage counseling offices that guide students proactively, not even voluntarily, proactively, mandatory. Have you talked to your marriage counselor this year? What does your marriage counselor say? Like that. To have a mindfulness of what healthy relationship is, what standard and normal healthy relationship is, through the centuries, through the millennia, and today. So that by the time people graduate from university, maybe not be married automatically at that moment, but at the very least have a very strong idea of what that is. Because part of what marriage counseling is, part of just the conversation of marriage, is recognizing a purpose greater than oneself, recognizing that how to participate in something that's beyond what one person can do by oneself. And that's what marriage is. That's what a relationship is. And it's humbling. It requires us to get outside of this individualism and that isolation and the manipulation of that individualism as well. That can be very easily narrowed into a quote-unquote career track, and additionally where people get siphoned into further isolation to just be wheels in the machinery. So that is part of the consideration. So marriage counseling offices, much like there's career, assalamu alaikum, much like there are career placement offices, to guide and provide that healthy teaching and guidance and normalcy about healthy and committed relationship. When I began here at this university many years ago in the MBA program, one of the mandatory courses is management assessment. MGMT 403, I think was the name of the course, or the title of the course. And basically that course was a full course, 3 threads I think, where we had to go through an intensive self-evaluation. We had to write a lot of papers about ourselves, what our career ambitions are, what our career track is. We had to go through psychological testing, all those different joints about Cartesian planes and emotions. We had to go through a lot of that. We had to interview our parents, our family members, talk with bosses, former bosses, and about getting evaluations, just in terms of discerning what our characteristics are and what our career track is, and then talk about our career path. Talk very detailed as much as possible about how we envision our career from that point on. Very, very intense, mandatory work. So the consideration is the same thing being a requirement freshman year at the undergraduate level, 18 years old, specifically and exclusively on the topic of marriage and healthy relationship. It's already a precedent. There's already that type of intensive evaluation, and it's very much a necessity at this moment, so that youth have guidance, youth have an excuse to do what is healthy. Because at the moment, there's just so much peer pressure, there's so much societal pressure to do unhealthy, gonna say it, bullshit. Youth need an excuse. Youth need guidance. Youth need a credible authority that says this is what is healthy. When the authority of the university itself is providing mixed co-ed dormitories, that's a green light. That's an open door, literally an open door for having uncommitted free sex. Literally. When the programming is talking about safe sex and is talking about birth control, and additionally, the message that is provided to the youth is do what you like. So even from the adults, even from the professors, even from the administration, women who don't want to have sex before marriage, women who want to wait, have a lot of pressure, not just peer pressure from the men with smooth talking. Men don't even have to be, boys, young men don't even have to have smooth talking. It's just so pervasive, and it's expected from other sistren, in addition, who have already started that process. There needs to be healthy authority and mandatory that says this is what healthy is, and there it is. Now, at the same time, even further, we can talk about well, what about those who are training to be monks and celibate and not practice sex at all? And we can talk about, if you want to throw this into the mix, what about LGBTQ and everything else? Everybody, the world, and everybody within post-cosmopolitan society needs traditional families with traditional marriage between a man and a woman, regardless of what people's lifestyle is. LGBTQ people need traditional families for society to function. The monastics, whatever the tradition is, need traditional families for society to function. That's 100% facts. Regardless of what your individual preferences are, what your beliefs are, what your politics are, what your pronouns are, you need traditional families, traditional marriage, man and woman, for society to function. 100% facts. And because of that, it behooves you to train and prepare and teach young people to be in healthy relationship, healthy marriage, man and woman. Bump what you heard and bump anybody saying anything else. You need traditional marriage, man and woman. And you need to teach young people, and if they haven't gotten it at middle school and high school, you need it at the very latest, freshman year orientation, marriage counselors for the entirety of the university career, even beyond career placement, beyond academic counseling or otherwise. How many young people get caught up, get depressed, drop school, and commit suicide because of relationship malaise, insecurity, triangles, jealousy, anger, and otherwise? The psychiatrists ain't doing it. The psychologists ain't doing it. You need marriage counselors specifically. And if it needs to be traditionally specific, whether it's Christian, whether it's Muslim, whether it's Jewish, whether it's Hindu, whether it's Buddhist or whatever, so be it. You need specific marriage counselors. So anyways, that's it. That's all we got to say. We ain't trying to blow up the spot. We're getting a lot of traffic now. So that's the gist of what we got to share. It's plain and simple. It's very accessible. It's very necessary. It's very what's up. And that is it. Anything else? I just said that's it, and anything else. Yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it. So again, we give all thanks and praise to the Most High, Elohim, Allah, Tao. It's only one, known by many names and beyond all names. Blessed love and peace in Rastafari. Spiritual awakening. One love.